Hi everyone, I'm so delighted to be with you. It does feel a little bit COVID-esque, sitting here in Tyler's Lounge and recording, but I wanted to share a number of things with you that I think will be so helpful going forward and hopefully bring some clarity in our journey of faith during these next few months. I want to take you to the scriptures, of course, and there's an incredible passage from Psalm 105 from verses 16 to 22. It's a prophetic word that was given to me, maybe 15 years ago. I don't remember exactly. But in it have been a number of key things that have helped me shape who I am, how we do what we do, and what are some of the key anchor points in the story. And it says, He called down famine on the land, that's God, and destroyed all their supplies of food. There's the anticipation of some brutally difficult times. And He sent a man before them, Joseph, sold as a slave. And I think there is the sense of curiosity, the sense of prophetic anticipation. What is to come? A man sent before them. They bruised his feet with shackles. That's kind of the Hebrew word masa, which means the message we have. So they wanted to shackle his message. And his neck they put in irons, authority. So they're wanting to limit his authority and remove his message. Until what he foretold came to pass. Big prophetic content here. Until the word of the Lord proved him true. The king sent and released him. The ruler of the people set him free. He made him master of the household, ruler of all he possessed, to instruct his princes as he pleased, and to teach his elders wisdom. And you know, one of the major reasons why Genesis as a community exists is to create an incubating space for people who are, their callings, giftings, and ministries are being developed. I don't think God's called us to be a run-of-the-mill church who just do meetings and programs and activities. I feel like there's a very specific lane God has called us to run. I was on a Zoom call with the collective leaders last week, and Rob Hutton from Dubai said of every golfer there's one club that they really prefer, and what they try to do is get the ball into a position where they can use that club. And he spoke of a 7-iron for those of you who understand golf. And I think God has given us a club of choice, this sense of developing princes and elders, this idea of us being committed to incubating everyone in their calling, their gifts, and their ministries. Whether it's largely expressed churchward or largely expressed in the marketplace, it doesn't matter. That's why we are, and that's how we are. Here in the summer, we have intentionally committed ourselves to being able to give opportunity. A whole wide variety of people will host and teach and minister, as well as fun times like the 4th of July. And by the way, it was incredible. We had about 80 people out. It was wildly competitive. I will tell you that my team won, but there is some debate as to how well we won. Fun time, great community building moment. Okay, so here we have a prophetic anticipation, and it's helped craft Genesis Costa Mesa in the way it is. The second thing I want to comment on just for a moment is my health. Now, as you know, 2 years ago I was diagnosed with cardiomyopathy, and related to that was the fact that I had atrial fibrillation. Cardiomyopathy, simply put, is the heart wasn't functioning well enough to squeeze the blood back throughout the body, and through medicine they've brought that back to an acceptable level, which is encouraging. Atrial fibrillation is when the heart flutters rather than the rhythmic beat. When it flutters, and when it flutters, it can be super brutal and dramatic, as it was recently, or it can be very light and but a flutter, like a little bird, rather than the thumping of a drum. It does create a weariness, it does create a little bit of brain fog, and it's come to a place for cardiologists later that we probably have made a decision, Meryl and I in consultation with the team, that I'm going to do an ablation sometime in the fall, which is a procedure in which they freeze the areas of the heart that they believe is creating this electric kind of dysrhythm to it. So that's a heads up. Feeling really good on some strong medicine right now, but really inspired by that. Out of that, Terry Fouché and Matt Larson approached me. Now, in the conversation of accountability, People have asked, well, who is Chris accountable to? Great question. We want to be transparent in all of these things. So my accountability is firstly to Meryl, obviously. Meryl is not like me, as you know. She sees the world and life very differently, and that is incredibly helpful. In brackets, frustrating sometimes, close brackets, overridingly super amazing, because it helps me. She asks the questions I don't really want asked. But secondly, in the global collective leadership, there are 5 other couples to whom I'm accountable. Matt and Kristen Larson from Thousand Oaks, Terry and Linda Fouché from Pasadena, and then Keith and Michelle Gateskill from London, Rob and Linda Hutton, Dubai, and Nick and Kati Hardy from Durban. And Matt and Terry approached me recently saying, with all of these health conditions, we want to suggest that you take some time out and that you go and use this time, kind of medical leave, but really some vacation and then some study. Well, I did what I love doing. I presented it to the whole collective leadership. If there was any concern, I would not do it. There was a unanimous sense of absolutely go for it. I presented it to the staff, Dana, Tyler, Sam. There was a unanimous sense, absolutely, community's doing well. Thank you for that. Thank you for buying in. Thank you for owning the moment as we creep and crawl our way out of the pandemic. I then went to the home group leaders and presented it to them on Friday night, and again, unanimously saying, absolutely. And so there was this consensus to the accountability crew that Meryl and I hold our lives open to, that we're going to take 3 weeks in Malibu, and then about 2 weeks, I'm going to just be in study, just some time in the Lord, long prayer walks. I'm studying 1 Peter. I just want to stay invested in that, whilst the community will go through Hebrews and a number of different people will teach. So here we have a kind of an historical prophetic moment. We've got a medical condition, we've got an accountability, but then I want to just land, and this is a short one, a short little motivational video, and I want to take you again to a prophetic text that's really been stirring me recently for us going into the fall. And it's Isaiah 54 from verse 1 through to verse 3. Sing, O barren woman, you who never bore a child, burst into song, shout for joy, you who are never in labor. And I really am loving where our worship is at. Orange County has a super chill, laid-back worship vibe, and we worked hard to create a key worship space where we can encounter God and be free in our spirit sensitivity. And so the call here by the prophet is, I want you to sing, worship, high praises in spite of being barren. And coming out of COVID, there's a barrenness we've all been through. It could be emotional, mental, relational, financial, circumstantial, the barrenness that we've all felt. God says, I want you to sing, and I want you to sing loudly and passionately and for joy in spite of your barrenness. More of the children of the desolate woman than of her who has a husband. And the prophetic component there is an eager reintroduction of our longing to see men and women come to faith, come to a living, vital faith, whether they've walked away in a deconstruction period, whether they've never had faith. Doesn't really matter. More of the children of the desolate woman. We are trusting that out of this barren time, there will be many children, many great and wonderful conversions, deliverances, freedoms, liberation that God brings in amongst us. Enlarge the place of your tent. Don't you love the prophet doesn't take us to the temple, static, immobile. He reminds us that we are a mobile people, and if COVID has taught us anything, it's a readiness to pivot, be agile, mobile, ready to move at any moment in time. Stretch your tent curtains wide. And I want to appeal to us to open the tent curtains of our hearts to men and women of different cultures, different ethnicities, different stations in life. We love our home group. We've got people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, singles, marrieds, young babies, just a full range. And I love that. Stretch your tent curtains wide. Be open to relationships with people who are different from you. And there's high value in that. He says, do not hold back. Lengthen your cords. To me, cords in the text speak about relationships. And he is saying, strengthen those relationships. Make sure that they are vital, that the community is relationally healthy and well. And then strengthen your stakes. And to me, the stakes speak of our big anchor ideas, that we're around the dining room table, worship, prayer, storytelling, and of course the fifth wheel is mission. And then we drive those stakes deep in the ground. We are anchored in to the things that God has called us to. And then you will spread out to the right and to the left. Your descendants will dispossess nations and settle in their desolate cities. I was saying to the crew the other day that right now we could plant a community around the dining room table in Malibu, in Temecula, in La Mirada, Biola, in Boise, Idaho, in Nashville. Just 5 places that that there's a door open. People are saying, would you come and help us establish a community like this? The fall is going to be a very exciting time. I feel like the Spirit of God is quickening some things in our hearts and posturing us for a time of readiness. Can I ask, as we go through the summer, enjoy it and vacation well. But put your running shoes on. I think the fall is going to be a very, very strategic, exciting, and highly mobile time. And if we can position our hearts for that, we'll see God do some extraordinary things in us, with us, and through us. God bless you all. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.